Hey, what's going on, everyone? Coach Joey coming in live from CrossFit Oscar Mike here in Calhoun, Georgia. And I wanted to come in with a quick video today to maybe help some people out there in the local community as far as what's going on with my fitness routine, or how come I'm having a hard time getting in shape, or I've hit the dreaded plateau. Now, what am I going to do? So I'm gonna maybe post a few videos over the next couple weeks with some information that might help you get on track. Now, a little preemptive note, yes, I am a CrossFit coach. Yes, I do CrossFit. I've been in love with CrossFit for the last 10 years, but I've also been in strength and conditioning, personal training, health and wellness, martial arts, and my goal in life is to try to help as many people as I can improve their quality of life through health and wellness. So this isn't a big thing to try to get you to come sign up for the gym. If you're interested in getting some help, we would love to help you any way we can, whether that be something as easy as a phone call or whether you do decide to become a member here in our great community. But for today, I'm going to give you some information that will hopefully either get you back on track or at least open your eyes to a perspective that a lot of people don't know about. Because in today's world, when somebody wants to lose weight or they're getting interested in something, they hop on their phone, hop on the internet, pick up the magazine in the grocery store and kind of flip through it, and they're confused because there's conflicting. Should I do keto, low carb, high carb, steady state cardio? Should I become a triathlete, or should I do mud runs, or should I go to CrossFit? So there's a lot of different things that we can do, but I want to talk about some of the science that's involved in what CrossFit does. And even though it gets covered up and there's a little bit of political stuff involved in CrossFit where, you heard your friend got injured and blah, 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 blah. Like I said, I can promise you that here at Oscar Mike, our goal is to just help everybody get to a place that they want to be with their health and wellness. All right. So now what we're going to talk about is why CrossFit is effective from an exercise standpoint. Now, when we talk about CrossFit, our main purpose here, or where a lot of the theories come from, is what's referred to as metabolic conditioning. And I know a lot of you don't know what that means, but if you could think of your metabolic rate as your internal furnace, and your internal furnace is what regulates how much energy expenditure you have through the days. And when I say energy expenditure, I'm talking about calories burned. All right. And then some of the mistakes that people make where their furnace kind of gets stuck in a place where it's not going to be as efficient as it once was, or whatever the case is. Now, when we talk about our bodies are adaptable. So what we do is, as we go through daily life, our body is constantly processing information. It's processing how much food we eat, processing how much physical activity we have, and then it's trying to find the perfect equation to sustain life as long as possible. Now, for a lot of you who are in really, really great shape, a lot of you may not be in good shape, you can manipulate that and make changes where your body starts to become more efficient. And that's why when you have a friend who's in really, really good shape, they tend to stay in good shape, even if you see them out eating a pizza. And then you may have a friend who's not in great shape, and they may be doing everything they can to lose weight, but they're having a hard time. And just like everybody else, I've been there, so I know what it takes and what you have to go through to get yourself to be more efficient. All right? So we're going to talk about metabolic conditioning. So metabolic conditioning. All right. Now in CrossFit world, you'll hear workouts usually referred to as a MetCon. And all we're doing is we're saying we're going to condition our metabolic rate by doing a MetCon, or metabolic conditioning, right? And this is how it works. So your body's adaptable. So if you don't have crazy things that happen in your life on a regular basis, usually your body will kind of start to collect the data of food you eat, exercise you do, punch it into the brain computer, and then it's gonna send that out into your body, and your body's gonna start to regulate through hormones what happens. And this is typically the number that we're gonna focus on when we're talking about metabolic conditioning, is our metabolic or resting metabolic rate. So let's say on average that your resting metabolic rate is 200 calories an hour. Now these are all fictitious numbers. Everybody's different. So it's really difficult to define exactly what that should be because, like I said, nobody's built exactly the same as the person next to them. Now, if your resting metabolic rate is 200 calories an hour, what happens when you go to do something like start a running routine because you want to lose weight? It's an easy go-to for people. They're like, all right, I'm going to start running a mile a day. And they start running a mile a day. And I'm not discouraging you from doing this. I think it's a great starting point to do something that you can do at home. But I'm going to explain to what happens for anybody watching this video who did that. Now we're getting into the third month of the year, and maybe you're getting to that dreaded word, plateau. You're putting in the work, and you're not getting exactly where you want to be. You had some good results in the beginning, but now you've kind of tapered off, and the scale isn't moving as much as you once wanted to. So what happens is during my run, I go out, I start my run. I have a little bit of a ramp up in my metabolic rate, however long I run for, and then it's going to come back down to this 200 calories per hour. All right, so let's say at the height of our run, we're going to do 400 calories per hour. And let's say that just for simple purposes, it takes you an hour to go on your run. I know most people, it doesn't take an hour to run a mile, but we're just going to use that for simple math. All right, so what happens is during this time, I've started running, my body's burning 400 calories an hour now. Well, what happens over time, if you don't have much change in the food intake, your body's not going to expect any more food for the work requirement that you've added to your day, because you went from not running at all to now running. So what ends up happening is your body will adjust this number. So it will take your resting metabolic rate and be like, hey, Coach Joey started running. He hasn't really started eating much to compensate for that. We're not going to have as much energy as we did before he started running. So we need to lower our metabolic rate a little bit. And it's not going to make a difference in his life. It's not going to make him tired or feel bad or any of that stuff. But it's going to allow us to let him run at a capacity that he's running at. So what ends up happening is over time, your resting metabolic rate may drop. And again, these are all fictitious numbers, but let's say it drops to 180. So what happens is now our resting metabolic rate has dropped. I'm still running the same distance, the same time. Nothing really changes there. I lost weight for the first 8 weeks of this program, and now I've plateaued, and I don't know what the F is going on, right? So this is normal. There's nothing wrong with you. You don't have a thyroid problem. You don't have any issues. This is how your body is designed to work. It's designed to be efficient. And this was because this was designed for survival, right? We don't live in a world where we're constantly worrying about surviving, or at least how we would have a couple thousand years ago. So in turn, what most people do is they usually try to increase the work. So what they'll usually do is they'll either start running longer as far as distance, or they'll increase the capacity and the distance that they're running, or the intensity, excuse me. So if you're running 3 miles and it takes you 30 minutes, maybe you'll run 4 miles in 30 minutes, and that does in the same time duration, but the intensity's increased. So you'll have a little bit of an increase in the number here, but then eventually your body will adjust again. And then what ends up happening, if you stop running altogether because maybe you get discouraged and you don't pick up anything else to kind of help you keep moving forward with your goals, guess what happens here? That doesn't come up in one day. It stays at the lower rate again till it has time to adapt. And usually during that time, you'll put weight on. And I always try to explain this to people, especially in adults. Usually you'll meet adults and they're in the same place the whole time as far as body composition. So they don't eat real great, they don't eat healthy, or you have that friend who says, yeah, I run 3 miles every day, and you look at them like, you run 3 miles every day? Because it sure don't look like it. You're not doing anything wrong. That's the way your body's designed. Now, how is CrossFit different? Well, in CrossFit, our theories are based off of constantly varied functional movements, which in layman's term is we're doing high intensity interval training. Now, we do a lot more as far as movements because we have coaches and trainers that kind of teach you things that you might not have known walking into the gym. But I'm not here to sell you that you can't create some of this at home in your living room or at the gym that you go to. So now when we talk about CrossFit, what ends up happening is a big question that we get is, Coach Joey, how do you get such a good workout in such a short amount of time? Because on average, a CrossFit workout's about 12 minutes. And people are always like, how do you get a good workout in 12 minutes? Well, you'll always get a great workout, I can assure you that. And then what ends up happening is they ask me, well, how many calories do I burn in a CrossFit workout? Here's the answer. Not very many, because I don't care what you do in 12 minutes, you're usually never going to burn as many calories in 12 minutes doing CrossFit as you are going for an hour and a half run. But that's not what we're trying to do. We're not on a calories in, calories out. We're trying to build our bodies to be more efficient. So how that works is, one, by constantly varying our workouts on a daily basis, your body never gets to that place to really adapt. And then people who are really trying to step it up, even if you do a little bit extra steady state cardio on the side a few days a week, because CrossFit is so varied when you're coming into the gym, it's not going to affect this metabolic conditioning that we do. Now, I don't recommend it. Some people get nervous and they want to start really losing some pounds. That's fine. But if you follow the process, usually you get exactly where you want to go, and it's a lot more sustainable in the long term. But here's some of the bar graph, chart, pie graph, whatever you want to call this thing, as far as that works. So I'm at 200 calories per hour. I start my workout in CrossFit. I work out for 8 minutes. Boom, I hit way up here. High intensity. This is where the high intensity part plays a science in CrossFit. What happens is, as I hit that peak, eventually my metabolic rate will come back down. Now, there's literature out there. This is stuff that has been proven in science labs. It's not something that I'm just kind of making up here. So what happens? We start a CrossFit workout. We have a spike. We do 12 minutes. Let's say the peak of that workout is probably 6 minutes. In that 6 minutes, maybe you burn 12 calories, all right? I'm not gonna lie to you. You're not gonna burn a lot of calories in 6 minutes. It's gonna be more than 12, but I'm exaggerating a little. But if you look at the difference as far as time, if at our baseline, so all of these hours for the steady state cardio are at 200 calories per hour. And then in the beginning, obviously, we have 200 calories per hour. That's at our resting metabolic rate. Now, I still have the same resting metabolic rate as the person who is doing the steady state cardio. Let's say just for intensive purposes, we're both at 200 calories per hour. But now I've had this spike, and then what happens with that spike is my metabolic rate doesn't immediately drop back down as soon as I stop the workout. And people often ask, well, Coach Joey, why is that? I stopped working out, my heart rate's kind of back to normal. I don't feel like I'm doing anything extra. So, number one, we could thank, again, our caveman ancestors for this here. Genetically, we're designed to respond in what most people know as fight or flight. So, 2,000 years ago, family man, hanging out with my kids, and then something happens and a saber-toothed tiger, kind of runs through our village. I take off. Everybody takes off and run, climb up in a rock, jump in a tree, hide in a hole, whatever we do. When we get there, we don't lay down and fall asleep. Everything in our body is alert now. We've had some adrenal response, so our heart's pumping, the blood's pumping, everything that's going on, I'm at an elevated state. My peripherals, my hearing, everything is at a higher state. That's a simple result to my metabolic rate staying at an increased height. And then what happens is as the hours go by and I get to a place where I feel like I'm safe and the saber-toothed tiger maybe found somebody else to eat, then I get back down here. But that could be 4, 5, 6 hours. So by manipulating our bodies into a flight or fight response, it's going to keep our metabolic rate elevated for a longer duration of time. Now, this here, it gets elevated. You'll burn more calories in this time frame of, an hour. Sorry, this isn't quite to scale. I know I have an hour here and, 6 minutes up there. So excuse me for my lack of drawing skills. But this, because it takes a lot longer to get down to our resting metabolic rate, I also get the benefit of a shorter workout and burning more calories throughout the day. So this isn't opinion. There's tons of literature written on this. If you wanted to look some of that up on your own, I'm not going to, give you guys the whole list and shebang and all that stuff. That'd be totally up to you if you wanted to kind of look into that stuff. Now, when we started this, we talked about the constantly varied part. That's always going to be taken care of when you walk into a CrossFit gym. It's always going to be taken care of if you're doing something at home where you do strength one day, cardio the next day, some interval training the next day. But you have to keep your body guessing. That's number one. Keep your body guessing. Number two is you have to put yourself in this state at least a couple of days a week, and this will help improve weight loss over time. Because if your metabolic rate is increased over time while you're not working out, you're going to burn more calories. So this number here, resting metabolic rate, that's the thing that we focus on training here at the gym. And then obviously, everything that comes in line as far as being part of a community like we have here at Oscar Mike. But again, like I said, I wanted to get this out on the internet. I know it's kind of long, so anybody who watched it to the end, I really, really appreciate that. That being said, if you watched it to the end, I'm going to put a link down here where you guys can get set up with an information call. So you'll leave your email, phone number. I'll probably contact you personally, and we'll be able to chat a little bit about your fitness goals, some of the things you've been struggling with, and I'll give you some tips and tricks you can do at home, no obligation, both nutrition related and exercise related. If you decide that you want to come into the gym, I'd love to meet you in person. All right. And then anybody who's already a member of the gym, if you haven't seen this information before, there you go. You guys have a good day.